Okay, you guys, today we have a video that I have been very excited to film. This is going to be a collab with my friends Leanne and Seb, who I'm sure if you've been around, you've heard of them, you know who they are. They run the Jump Scare Twitch account. I watch them live stream all the time. Sometimes I chat with you guys in their live streams. And my friend Leanne runs the YouTube channel TheOfficialScreamQueen. So we're collabing today, and the movies that we are talking about today, we are going to be deciding whether or not we would survive if we were in said movies. So of course their channel will be linked down below. They're making the same video as me, so definitely be sure to check them out after you watch this video. But I have a feeling this is gonna be a lot of fun today because they picked some really good movies for me, and I know I picked some really good movies for them. And also, the ones on our list totally overlap with one another. I think there are at least 3 or 4 movies on this list that I also gave to them, and it was a surprise. Like, we didn't collaborate on which movies we would choose. We just kind of did our best to choose some that were pretty well known, because fair warning right now, there might be some spoilers in this video. I'm gonna try my best not to really go in depth with any type of spoilers, but there might be just light kind of general plot spoilers ahead. So if I remember, I will try to put timestamps linked down below so you can skip ahead if there's a movie that you haven't seen. But without further ado, let's get into this list of would you survive these movies. The first movie that Seb and Leanne chose for me is World War Z. And they did say, I know it's like borderline horror, but I don't know. I mean, I think World War Z is pretty horrifying. What other category does it fall into? Like action? Kind of? Sort of a military movie? I don't know. But would I survive World War Z? Honestly, just up front, I don't know if I would survive any movie that has fast zombies. Slow zombies I could take any day. But fast zombies that are also strong? I think we'd have to say goodbye to me. Not to mention that people get infected within 10 seconds of being bit, and then they completely turn. So with something that fast and seemingly inescapable, I just don't know if I'd survive that one. And they run fast too. They kind of look like they run faster than the average human. I'm probably faster than the average human, but I'm not that fast. There are just so many variables about fast zombies that I don't know. I just don't think I'd survive. So that's a bummer. The very first one on the list, I'm gonna have to say no, I don't think I would survive World War Z. What about you? Let me know down below. The second movie that Seb and Leanne chose for me is A Nightmare on Elm Street, and they said it was Seb's choice. That doesn't surprise me. I know that's one of his favorite franchises. Honestly, yet again, I feel like you're doing me a little bit dirty. I don't think I would survive A Nightmare on Elm Street. I suppose maybe, like, there's a slight chance that I would, because as an anxious individual, sometimes my anxiety just does not let me sleep. So there's that. There's a slim possibility, but also at the same time, I'm a very sleepy girl. I love my sleep. I'm one of those people that's kind of a grandma. I don't do it often, but I do love going to bed early because then it means that I get to wake up early, and that just feels good. I really like the morning time and the way that it feels and the way that the earth is still kind of like still. But anyways, I need my sleep. Typically, I need at least about 8.5 hours to 9 hours, or else I'm just exhausted. I could get 7.5 and still feel so freaking tired. Like, I need at least the full 8 hours. So I'm pretty sure that Freddy would get to me at some point because there's just no way that I could stay awake for that long. Although when it comes to outsmarting Freddy, actually, the odds might not be too stacked against me. At least I would make it to the climax of the film. I would probably be in that group trying to take him down and figuring out his weaknesses. I would at least make it that far. But beyond that, I might just be a little bit too tired and give in at the end. Who knows? Do I answer that question yes or no, though? Would I survive Nightmare on Elm Street? To be honest, no. I don't think I would. Up next, would you survive Jaws? Finally, I actually feel like I can say yes, because I just relate the events of Jaws to the coronavirus. There are a lot of parallels there. The mayor didn't want to close the beach because of tourism and money, and same thing with the United States. At least we just simply could not pay people to stay home, apparently. So more people died because of it. Same thing happened in Jaws, and with this pandemic, you guys have followed my journey. I am literally always home. This is pretty much all I do. So I definitely think that I would be one of the people that would stay out of the water, even if it's just a rumor. But given that a couple of of people had died, I wouldn't really take it as a rumor. I would just stay out of the water. And if it came down to it and I was in the ocean when Jaws was swimming up looking for his victim, I'm a very strong swimmer. I always have been. I'm pretty fast, so I think I would get away. It's kind of like what they say about bears. I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you. That's how I would survive Jaws if I was in the water when he came up to attack. So with Jaws, I would say yes, I would survive Jaws. Up next, number 4. Would you survive Saw? Honestly, I do not know. I'm good at riddles, I'm good at puzzles, I'm good at figuring things out, but when it comes to self-mutilation, I think that's where I draw the line. And that's one of those super debatable themes in that movie, is the idea of this survival instinct, because some people have to do horrendous things to their body and permanently maim themselves in order to survive. But I kind of see the other side of the coin on that one, because isn't sort of the inability to harm yourself a survival instinct in and of itself? I don't know, honestly. It kind of just depends what trap I'm in as well. Like, it really just depends. I feel like the one that's coming to mind that I could definitely survive would be Saw 5. In that one, there's a group of people going through the tasks, and I'm not gonna give anything away, but I think that's probably the one I could get through. That and Saw 2. If I was, what's-his-face, the police officer, where literally all he has to do is just sit across from Jigsaw, that is something I could do. I could play that type of a mind game, but if I was literally in one of the traps, I'd probably die, let's be real. So with Saw, I'm gonna say yes and no. It kind of just depends which situation I'm in. Number 5, would you survive Final Destination? That's such a tricky one, because yes, there are people that have survived Final Destination, but for the most part, death has its grand design, and everyone's gonna die. And I just feel like it would be really, really arrogant of me to be like, yes, I can change fate. I can change death's grand design. Which you kinda can. You can reroute it, you can make it take detours, but ultimately the plan will come to fruition in the end. But if it came down to me finding some kind of loophole and getting out of it, I think I could maybe survive it. I feel like the only movie where that's applicable though is Final Destination 2. Otherwise, with the rest of them, there's not really any way of getting out of it. So I feel like that's kind of a trick question. There's no real way to answer yes for that, so I'm gonna say no. Up next, number 6, would you survive Don't Breathe? This is one where I feel like my common sense would really benefit me, because oftentimes in horror, if the characters don't have common sense, that's kind of the only way the plot moves along, because they make stupid choices. Don't Breathe is kind of a prime example of this. As soon as this man was aware of what was happening to him, I would just go to the kitchen and grab a knife. I know the charges would be a lot worse, but if my life is threatened, then what am I gonna do, you know? Best to just defend myself the best I can. I wouldn't try to kill him, but possibly just maim him so he can't chase me. And also, he hasn't seen me, so he can't identify me. So my best bet, just go straight to the kitchen, get a big knife, get 2 big knives, why not? Don't Breathe, I feel like that's kind of an easy one. I do think I would survive that. There are some circumstances in the film where I don't think I would fare too well, like when all the lights go off. But I think that just right off the bat in that film, I would be better off than all those characters, because I would just make better decisions from the get. So yeah, I think I would survive Don't Breathe easily. Up next, would you survive Alien? This is a tough one. There is much to consider. So it really kind of just depends which position I am put into. I feel like because I am not the type of person to be confrontational and go try to hunt this thing down and kill it and engage in hand-to-hand combat or try to fight this thing with weapons and stuff, I feel like there's a good chance that I would survive, because in Ripley's case, she was just really good at being in the right place at the right time, making smart choices, not really engaging very close to the alien. She just used her training and some street smarts, and that's why she's one of the best final girls of all time, in my opinion. And I feel like I identify with Ripley. I think in that type of a scenario, I would be playing it super safe and just playing it as smart as I could. I would never be the type to go out guns a-blazing, you feel me? Especially as soon as I'm aware that that thing has acidic blood. No. I'd be the final girl with my final cat. Moving on to number 8. Would you survive the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original? Honestly, yes, and the main reason why I say so is because I can run a lot faster than anyone in that family, including Leatherface, because he's carrying a ton of weight and a chainsaw. He's not the most agile. I would just sprint. Plus, I just already know that I'm a lot more clever than anyone in that family. I'm much smarter. So there are definitely a lot of workarounds. Even if I didn't end up running away, I feel like I could kind of, I don't know, use my brain, manipulate them in some type of way. Especially Leatherface, because he's manipulated by his family all the time. And we see that in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with Stretch. That's kind of the zone of defense I would be in. I mean, my first zone of defense is just running. But if I can't do that, then I would resort to more Stretch-like moves. And I think I would survive either way. Number 9, would you survive a quiet place? This is so hard to say. I literally just tweeted the other day about how clumsy I am and how it's just getting out of hand. I was on set, I was with my friends, and I tripped like twice, and then I almost fell down the stairs once. And I just, in general, am not the most graceful of beings. So that's really hard to say, because in a world where you have to be super quiet and super careful, I'm obviously not the best candidate for that. But I think if the situation demanded it, I am really good at being quiet, especially having had a lot of practice going to college and having a roommate and everything like that. I'm good at being quiet. So I want to say yes. It's just that I don't really know that I can necessarily give myself the benefit of the doubt, because your girl is clumsy. I can't deny that. I can't act like I would all of a sudden develop really graceful walking skills, because the reality is that I probably wouldn't. But I still want to say yes. You know what? I am going to give myself the benefit of the doubt, because if the situation really demanded it, I can be quiet, especially if my whole life is on the line, you know? By the way, who is excited for A Quiet Place 2? Oh, it's coming out in September, right? I don't know, but I'm ready. I've been ready. Okay, and last on the list that they gave me, number 10, would you survive escape room? Now, like I said earlier, I am pretty crafty. I'm really good with puzzles, with riddles, and all things like that. My mind is my weapon. So I do think I would survive escape room. There are certain rooms, though, like the one where it was super, super cold and they all only had to share one jacket. That would be super tough for me, because I'm very small. I get cold extremely easily. I have no insulation. So that one would be tough. That'd be a tough one to get through. However, there are other rooms where I feel like I would have an advantage. Like the upside down bar room. Oh my gosh, that one was so crazy. But I used to do free climbing for a really long time. I belonged to a climbing gym, and with free climbing, you don't have a rope or anything. You basically just scale the side of a wall. Plus, I also used to climb trees all the time when I was little. I was always up a tree. My favorite tree I named Charlie, if that's any indication of how often I was up in trees. So I do have climbing skills. I think that's a room where I would do a really good job. But you know, there are others, like I said, where it would be quite difficult. Overall, though, I think I can say pretty much with certainty that I would survive escape room. Now, that does it for all the movies that Seb and Leanne gave me, and I'm just gonna go over the list that I gave them, so maybe that'll pique your interest. I want to make sure that you go check them out. And I'm also gonna talk about the movies on this list, because I feel like I chose some good ones and I just want to talk about it. But the movies that we chose that were the same are Saw, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Alien, and Don't Breathe. And Jaws. There were 5. 5 out of 10 movies on our lists were the same. So you know what? Why not? I'm gonna talk about the other 5 movies on the list that I gave them, because fun, and because I think this video would be too short if I didn't do this. So the first movie I gave them was Oculus. I think that's such a great movie. They watched it. I don't think that they loved it, but they liked it. They found it interesting. It's one of my top 10 horror movies probably of all time. So I love that one. It's about this mirror that does weird things to you, messes with your psyche, and the whole movie is just a total trip. I think it's lovely. I think it's really well written in the story, how it's non-linear. I think the structure is really cool. Anyways, would I survive having the laser glass in my home? I think because I'm one of those people that's skeptical, and if something feels off, I will just delete it from my life. I think there's a chance I would survive Oculus. I also feel like I have a really good grasp on what is real and what is not. Rarely do I ever feel detached from reality. I'm very good at, you know, grounding myself and knowing what's real and what's not. So, well, oh, maybe that's how the mirror would get me though. Because my guard would be down, because I'd be like, there's no way this mirror can trick me. But then that's when it gets me. Much to think about. But my more immediate reaction would be to say yes, I think I would survive Oculus. The second movie I gave them was Saw, and then the third movie I gave them was The Crazies, the remake from 2010. I love this movie. movie, also probably on my top 10 list. But this is one that I do think I would survive. This is a pretty easy answer for me because I have that street smart skeptic vibe. I would figure out a way out of there. I'm really good at hiding as well. And I also have really good endurance. If I felt like my town was way too messed up, I would have no issue walking like 20 miles to the next town to safety. Plus with the crazies and the way that they get infected, I think that I would survive. The only thing that's iffy is my physical presence is not very large, so if I had to fight any of the crazies, that would be an issue. But like I said, I'm really good at hiding, and so I feel like that would be a non-issue. I think I would find my way out of it before it came to that. So yes, I would survive the crazies. Up next, I gave them the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original and the 2003 remake, because I'm curious to see if they feel differently about them. With the original, I said that I think that I would survive. With the remake, I'm not too sure. I really don't know. I feel like Leatherface is a lot more just purely brute in the remake. I don't think there's really any way that I could get around that. And also there are a lot more people, I feel like, involved in the remake, a lot more crazies, if you will. So getting around that would just be all the more difficult as well. I don't know. I don't think I would survive the remake. Up next, I gave them the Blair Witch Project. I've said this before. I think I said it in my Everything That I Watched in March video. I think I've already outright said that I don't think I would survive the Blair Witch Project because I have gone camping. I do like camping, but it's always at festivals where there is still, you know, a giant group of people around. When it comes to surviving in the woods though, and camping in the actual woods and the actual outdoors, that's a little different, but especially if I was in the Blair Witch Project type scenario, I don't see things going well for me. You know how earlier I said that I'm a sleepy girl? Well, I am also a comfort girl. Literally exhibit A. Look what I'm wearing. Look how comfy I look. My fuzzy socks, my soft pajama pants, my cozy, or not my, Mason's cozy sweatshirt. I am a comfort type of girl, and when I'm stripped of my comfort, things don't go super well for me. This is kind of embarrassing to admit, but the last time that I went to a music festival with my boyfriend, we were camping there, and as one does, my feet got very dirty when I was out romping around, dancing to music and stuff, and Mason cleaned my feet off for me because I didn't want to touch my dirty feet. So you could imagine if I was trapped out in the forest, also with no food, there is potentially a witch just taunting us and torturing us, and we're completely lost, yeah, things would go very bad for me. But then again, there is the issue of the survival instinct. If that kicked in, maybe I wouldn't care so much about the other stuff. But when it comes to direction, I mean, I'm decent, I'm pretty good with direction, but if I was in a woods that I was not familiar with at all, yeah, your girl would get lost. For number 6, I gave them Alien, and then for number 7, I gave them It Follows. Would you survive It Follows? This is a tough one because, again, it's not like it's something that you can ever really get rid of or get away from. I mean, you can literally get away from it, but it's always gonna catch up to you. Unless you just live a life on the move. Maybe you just live a life of travel. I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. Maybe I would survive It Follows. And then one day, whenever I feel like I've completed my bucket list or completed my life's purpose, I guess I would just stop traveling, and then whenever it came to me, it would come to me, and that would be it. You could go the awful human route and just travel a bunch and sleep with a bunch of people in a bunch of different countries. That way, kind of ensuring it never comes back to you. But I don't know, because there's also the logistical question of if you fly overseas, could it really actually get to you? Would that be possible? Could it walk across the ocean floor? Or would it get on a boat? Would it get on a plane? Would it do that? I don't know. The creature doesn't seem to have that type of logic though, because it just is always deliberately, slowly walking towards you. It doesn't really seem to kind of compute much else. So anyways, I'm gonna say that I think I would survive It Follows. At number 8, I gave them Jaws, and then at number 10, I gave them Don't Breathe, but for number 9, and the last movie I'm gonna talk about today, I gave them Ready or Not. We all love this movie, all 3 of us. So many of my friends love this movie because it's amazing. It is also in my top 10 movies of all time, not just top 10 horror movies. It's probably in my top 10 movies of all time, just out of all the movies. And again, because I am crafty, because I'm good at hiding, and because rich people seriously overestimate their abilities, I think I would survive Ready or Not. All I have to do is get crafty, and Grace, oh, Grace. She is the craftiest of them all. It is such a fun movie. If you haven't seen that, I'm recommending it literally whenever I get the chance. But yeah, it would be a hard-fought battle, but I do think I would survive Ready or Not. So that does it. That does it for all the movies that I'm gonna talk about today concerning whether or not I would survive them. This was super fun though. Like, I could see myself doing a part 2, 3, 4, 8, 12. I will do literally as many movies as you want me to. Maybe comment down below and I can start planning for a part 2. That is if you're interested, of course. And also, I'm gonna keep bugging ya. Go check out Seven Leanne. Go check out The Official Scream Queen. I feel like my answers are gonna be a lot different to theirs because, I mean, everyone just thinks differently in terms of survival, and everyone has different limits, different things that they can't handle. Let me know if any of your answers are different to mine and let me know why. And that'll be fun. We can get talking about it down below. If you're new here, I do hope that you consider subscribing. Click the notification bell so you always know whenever I post. I recently stopped posting to my very strict schedule of uploading 3 times a week. I announced that over on my community tab just because it was getting to be too much. So definitely have that notification bell on so that you can know whenever I do post. I also have a vlog channel with a lot of miscellaneous content. I'm sure there's something you would enjoy. Go check it out. It'll be linked down below, as well as my Patreon and all of my social media. My Patreon has even more content from me, as well as like my horror Instagram and my TikTok. So go crazy, go nuts, have fun, follow me on social media, say what's up. But other than that, I'm done for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye!